Would I do it again? Abso-freaking-lutely.
Would you do it again, or are you gonna go back? And there's no question about it.
Living in Breckenridge was honestly amazing. I don't know, it's almost hard to explain. You wake up and you open your door and you see the Rocky Mountains, and it's just motivating. It was really the time of my life, and I've honestly never felt more alive than I did when I was living there.
You know, people would reply like, oh my god, it's magical, and I put that as a caption, and like, that's truly what it was. It was just, everywhere you looked was just straight out of a storybook. There was Christmas lights on trees around the city hall. The backstory, like, a couple years ago we had visited Colorado and Utah in like 1 year. I always knew I loved it and wanted to live there, and we visited, and like her and I kind of came together and decided that we wanted to live there. I was selling insurance at the time, and I was kind of geographically stuck in Arkansas if I wanted to continue to go on the path I was on, and I wasn't really happy in my job, and I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do forever. I had learned that through working the job, and we visited, and her and I were coming up on finishing college in like a year or two at that point, and she finished school in a year before I did in December of 18, and then I finished in December of 19, and kind of we had those 2 years from like early 2018 to plan to move January of 2020.
Kind of overwhelmed. I'm a proud new owner of a really old Airstream. Let's look at her. That is a beautiful sight.
Back to when we visited Breckenridge a few years ago. Daniel's always loved Colorado, and he's been there a lot growing up, but that was my first time going. I just honestly fell in love with it. I love the mountains, and I've never seen so much snow, and I just wanted to experience that more. There's like a sense of liveliness there that you can't really explain unless you experience it. The first few nights in the Airstream was pretty brutal. Pretty sure the first night there was one of the coldest nights we had. It was like negative 20 something. The Airstream wasn't skirted, didn't have any reflectix or insulation up in the windows.
It's not all perfect. It's not like we were living in a standard sticks and bricks house. We knew there was going to be some issues.
Problem number one, we're not even an hour in.
We had to adapt and improvise to make sure our dogs were warm, make sure we were warm. It was a process, but we were tough people. It's something we pride ourselves on. We slept on the riverbank for a week and flooded the entire Buffalo and gotten ourselves into some sticky situations. In Breckenridge, I think there's like this romantic thing with us living in the camper and taking all these cool pictures and making the videos and stuff that, you know, people think was just magic and this money's just coming out of nowhere. We have a rich uncle or something, and that's definitely not the case. Like, we both worked front desks of hotels. We secured the jobs before we went out there. We just kind of went out there on a leap.
That's how we paid for it. It was just
hard work. There's no way around it. It's how we got kind of everything in place, was by working at Red Lobster in North Little Rock, Arkansas, waiting tables. So I would usually either work 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.-ish or 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. So it was pretty straightforward. If I worked 7 to 3, I would run over to Keystone, which had night skiing, and I would go snowboard over there. Or if I worked 3 to 11, I would go to Breckenridge and snowboard for a couple hours before work, and go to work, get off work. Across the street was it was called a Reds on the Blue, and it was like gyros and meatball sub, Philly cheesesteak. It's like kind of like a New Jersey style Greek, I guess. I believe that's correct, the type of food it was. Go over there, grab something to eat, go back home, walk the dogs, shoot some video, take pictures, and the goal while we were there was just to snowboard as much as possible. So have to fund your habits somehow. So Emily and I would, go to work our shift, and as our days off and our time off allowed, we would try and get to snowboard every day if we could.
A typical day would be, I would wake up, take the dogs for a walk to the dog park, and it would be freezing. After that, I'd make a pot of coffee, maybe some breakfast, maybe not. If we didn't have to work in the morning, we'd probably go snowboarding. After that, come back to the camper, have some lunch, probably go do some laundry or go to the hot tub at the clubhouse, and then maybe take some photos, maybe edit some videos.
It was just crazy. It was so interesting to see people from all walks of life and all over the world showing up every day, checking them into their room. They would come, they would go, and then the locals, like, they were unique in their own sense. Some of them like very stereotypical, some of them not. It was cool to get to hear all their stories and
talk to the different people, my colleagues, co-workers, and
hear their stories and how they ended up there, because nobody was really from Breckenridge. We worked really hard. I mean, we did a lot of things. We, traded in cars and bought a camper and there's tons of preparation work. We got rid of things to be able to live in the camper and wanted to chase this dream of living on the road, and then boom, the rug just got ripped out from underneath us and COVID hit, and
that kind of snowballed into all of Breckenridge shutting down, including the resort where our camper is parked, which took away our access to hot tubs, pools, laundry room, shower rooms. So we're kind of faced with one decision, and that was to return home. So that's why we left. Did I say coronavirus?
I don't want to sound like unfortunate anyway. We've come through this unscathed. It brought us back to Arkansas. It's kind of a bummer the way it ended, but there's so many people in terrible situations. I feel fortunate. It's allowing me to be able to film this documentary right now and be able to talk about and have some time to clear my mind, reevaluate where we want to go next, and kind of think about how good we had it and whatnot. But it was a bummer. I mean, coronavirus just straight ripped the rug out from underneath us. It was like it derailed a lot of people, and it affected a lot of people a lot worse than it's affected me. So I'm not going to complain at all. The time we had there was amazing. We will undoubtedly be back in the mountains, so get my revenge on the virus, if you will. And it was just a new experience every single day, it seemed like, living there.
Moving to Breckenridge was definitely worth it. I've told everybody this, it's by far the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. It was just amazing. I had the time of my life. I did a lot of things I'd never done before.
Man, Breck was amazing, and I hope somebody else, through the experiences that we filmed and shared, takes that leap no matter where you're sitting at this point in time. If you're somewhere you don't want to be and you want to be in the mountains, not to get overly sentimental here, but take that leap, do what you want to do, no matter what it be. And I hope we have been able to inspire some people to do what they want to do, and I'd love to hear your story.